Hey Ben, I'll just explain in the video. It's a lot easier to talk like this. So I wrote down everything that the 24 had. I'm just going to do one question at a time. So for the 24 of 2.8, I just kind of put everything that they want us to note, and then I'll just explain what everyone means. So, first of all, it says f' de x est plus grand que 0 si la valeur absolue de x est plus petite que 2. So that means that, well, we know that f' égale à x, f' de x est plus grand que 0 si, and then what does this mean? So if the absolute value is smaller than 2, then, yeah, I'm just making sure I have the right question. Okay, so if the absolute value is smaller than 2, then that means, because if you have 2 here, right, and you want the absolute value of x to be, let's see, like this is the absolute value of x, you want it to be smaller than 2, then it's going to have to be between -2 and +2. So smaller, it's going to be like inclusif. So what that means is -2, 2. If x is entre -2 et 2. I think there's also like a theorem that says that if A is plus petit que B, then valeur absolue A est plus petit que B, then you have -B, A, B. And then the opposite is the same thing. If it was plus grand que 2, then you'd have like moins l'infini, ou A est plus petit que -2 and plus grand que 2. So I usually just do like a graph because it helps explain. So then here it's going to be, that's what's going to be. So f' de x est plus petit que 0. And then here it's just going to be the opposite. So here would be si valeur absolue x est plus grand que 2, that means si x est plus petit que -2 et x est plus grand que 2. So just the opposite of the other one. And f' de 2 égale à 0, so that, I mean, can't really change anything. Here, la limite de f de x lorsque x tend vers l'infini égale à 1. So what that means is when x goes towards infini, which could be this way or this way, ça tend vers 1 here. So that means il y a une asymptote horizontale à y est égal à 1. So that's the asymptote horizontale. Here, when it says f de moins x est égal à moins f de x, that means that la fonction est impair. So to explain that, let's say your function was y est égal à x, right? It would look something like this. Oops. So that means if you had, for example, the point 1, 1 here somewhere, then f de moins, like here you have, let's say you have f de 1 égal à 1. Well, then if you make f de moins 1, it's going to be moins f de 1. And moins f de 1, and f de 1 is 1, so moins f de 1 is going to be moins 1. It just means it's going to be like a mirror image, but opposite. Like in fonction pair would be mirror image to the axe des y, and then if it's fonction impair, then it means you like flip it. It's like a mirror, but everything's flipped. Like you flip it this way and then this way. So you'll see what it means after when I test the whole thing. Here it's pretty much straightforward. It just, you don't have to analyze anything because it just tells you between 0 et 3 and x égale à 3. X plus grand que 3. And notice here they don't give you like under 0, and the reason is because it's a fonction impair, then you should just be able to draw the rest by doing the mirror image. So you'll see what I mean in a sec. I'll just draw the graph. Something like this. First thing you want to do is put your asymptote. So we know we have an asymptote horizontale à y égale à 1. So just do that. It's going to be here. 1. And then what you're going to have is, we know that f' de 2 égale à 0. What does that mean? F' de 2 égale à 0. Oops, I probably forgot to talk about that. That means that it's the point where it's either a max or a min, right? because it's the dérivée. So how do we know that? Well, we're going to have to look around the point 2. So here, so this one includes x between moins 2 and 2. And you know that the point critique, or max min, is at 2. So if you like do a droite numérique and you say, okay, this is 2 here, and then here the f prime is 0, then if you look under 2 would be this one, right? Which is here. It would say f de prime x est plus grand que 0. So here it's positive. And then quand la valeur absolue de x est plus grand que 2, which means x plus petit que moins 1/2 or que moins 2 ou plus grand que 2, then it means it's going to be negative here. Because here it says it's negative. So what does that mean? If it's positive, then it's negative. So croissant and then décroissant. Then what does that mean? That means 2, 0, 2, whatever point, you don't really know, is a max. So we're not really sure what that would be, but we can just, I'm just going to put a 2 here, and then it would be somewhere, well, maybe I'll erase that, get it out of the way. It will probably be somewhere here. We'll just guess. Doesn't really matter. Then, what else do we need? Okay, so we know that. Next, okay, so if this is, sorry about that, someone kept knocking at the door. So I'll just keep going where I stopped. So we know that's a point max. And then what do we know? We know that at the end it's going to tend vers 1, right? Because this is 1. So we can just finish it. Oh, another thing we should look at. Point d'inflexion. What's the point d'inflexion? It's when the concavité de la courbe change. So elle va de concave vers le bas à concave vers le haut ou l'opposé. So we have it over here. So here we have f prime de x est plus petit que 0 si 0 est en x et 3. Si x en 0 et 3, excuse. So, plus petit que 0, that means concave vers le bas. Plus grand que 0, concave vers le haut. So, obviously something's happening au point 3, so we should probably write that down. So, 3 would be like here, right? And let's say it's somewhere down because we know it's décroissant after that because of the negative here. And between 0 and 3, which means the same thing between 2 et 3, we are going to have concave vers le bas. So it's going to look something like this. It has to be like concave vers le bas. And then going to 2, it's going to be concave vers le haut. So it's going to look like this. And just kind of keep going. Okay. And then, so this is going to be a point d'inflexion here. So it means the concavité de la courbe va changer. And then what's happening from 0 to 2? Well, we know that the concavité is vers le bas. And we know that, well, there's not really anything else we need to know. Oh, it's important to know that it has to start au point 0, 0 because it's a fonction impair. And that means it has to be like a mirror image. So for it to be a mirror image, it has to go through 0, 0. So that's going to go down like this because it needs to be concave vers le bas. And boom, that's still 0. And we need to know that it's croissant because de 0 à 2, c'est croissant. So it has to be croissant. Now what we have to do, oh, okay, now we want to trace whatever's down here. So to do that, we need to look at what is happening over here in these functions. Because we need to, because here it gives us information about what happens before the 0, but in the concavité, it doesn't tell us anything. So since it's a mirror image, then we should go ahead and write moins 2 and moins 3, because the same stuff should be happening around there. Except instead of being up here, it's going to be down there. Okay, so au point 2 should be a min. Right around here. And au point 3 is a point d'inflexion. Moins 3, I mean. And what else do we have to know? Okay. So over here, entre moins 2 et 2, it is entre moins 2 et plus 2. We know that it's positive. and then here it's negative, and here it's negative too. So what does that mean? That means moins 2 and lower, it's going to be décroissant. And then between the both, it's going to be croissant. So then we can just... So we're going to start here. It's going to look something like... Well, over here we know it's going to look like this. Okay, yeah, for the part where they talk about concavité, we're just going to say it's a mirror image, right? So whatever happens on this side has to happen on this side. So if this one's curved like this way, this one has to be curved like this way. So it's going to look like this. And then it's... And then over here, it's going to tend vers 1 still. Or moins 1. Because if there's an asymptote at 1, sorry, yeah, because it's a mirror image. So here it's moins 1. It's literally just the same thing happening. It's going to tend like this, and it's going to go up. And then here, the concavité change. So this is also a point d'inflexion. And then finally, this goes like this. That one has to go like that. It's also concave. Here, it's like concave vers le haut, but if you flip it upside down, you're going to see it's the same thing. So all you have to do is just trace from 0 à l'infini, and then exactly do the mirror image, and then flip it like once on the axis Y, once on the axis X. And it should give you something like this. So, you know, this is a minimum. Because there's no interval, you just have to say minimum relatif or minimum local. This is a max local or max relatif. And then you have the 2 point d'inflexion, and you have your asymptote, moins 1 and 1. I really hope it helps. Sorry, it's kind of confusing.